Yes.
Ah, Tahar.
Seems your men have made themselves comfortable.
Yeah, they have. There was a small disagreement between Flynn and the orcs, but we settled that, so it's all good now. But I'm guessing that's not what you came here for. You want to talk, right? About what I did 8 years ago?
Why did you do it? Why did you tell my father about my plan?
Well, what do you want me to say? I did it because back then I still believed in your father's vision. What you, Zane, and Helena were going to do, it just seemed, I don't know, wrong. But that doesn't mean it was an easy decision. Also, I didn't think he'd execute you. Probably naive, I know, but it's the truth. You see, I joined Asamo because there was truth in his words. The masks, the pikes, all that hatred against us defilers that the purity of light is spreading now. It was all already there. The people always feared us, simply because we were different. Because we are better than they. Your father, he knew something like that would happen eventually. So he stood up and tried to stop it before it was too late. At least that's what he said. And to be honest, I still don't know if he only lost that vision, or had never had it to begin with.
I can't believe you're saying this. The reason people hate us mages now is because of what my father did. He confirmed their fears for them by starting this goddamn war.
Oh, really? And what about all that shit that happened beforehand? The witch burnings, mages driven out of the cities, gifted children abandoned by their mothers.
Did you just say because we are better?
Yes, better. How else should I say it? We cast fire from our hands, heal wounds with a mere thought, so how would you call it? I call it superior. And the ungifted know it as well as we do. But does that mean that we want to kill them? No. We're not animals, we're people, just like they are. Only that we are the lions and they are the cats. We didn't choose to be that way, but it's what nature chose for us.
I don't know. But to me, it sounds like you're still trying to justify what you did in that war.
That's where you're wrong. It's not all black and white, Tahar. And you of all people should know that. I know I made mistakes. And I've spent the past 7 years making amends. What else do you think the Wayfarers are for? Why else would I have left? And look, I do not expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I could do it if I were in your position.
I remember that back in the rebellion, ancient relics such as godstones were your specialty. Is there anything interesting you could tell me about them?
Interesting? That depends on what you mean by that. I mean, it goes without saying that what this rune allows us to do is beyond fascinating. Apart from that, I could only tell you the things you already know. How both the Hibernians and Shapers worshipped them and harnessed their magic. But that's about it.
So, regarding the Wayfarers, you said you founded them to make amends. Is that true? And if yes, how did you found them?
Yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said it. As to how I formed them, it's a long story. And maybe one we should save for later.
I want to talk about my father.
I figured you'd want to eventually. What is it you want to know?
Do you think it's true? That he was simply crazy?
Towards the end, yes. He had certainly lost his sanity. But before that, I still don't know. I've said it before, but there's one part of me that likes to think he was a madman to begin with. And then there's the other voice that tells me that he was merely a visionary who had lost his way. But if there's one thing I know, it's that he was a leader. Whenever he spoke to us, it was electric. To this day, I've never seen someone with his charisma.
You sound almost nostalgic.
Nostalgic? No. It's just... I've never met someone with that energy. You have some of it, Tahar. I only started to realize that here. But most of it is still asleep.
This might sound strange, but do you see any resemblance between him and me?
Interesting that you ask. Yes, there were moments where I could not help but notice that certain something that strongly reminds me of your father.
Could you be a bit more specific?
Well, I think that the best way to describe it is a sort of look in your eyes. It's somehow distant, but at the same time driven and intense. And it can be both intimidating and charismatic. I believe that it's this energy that helped your father rally the noble houses and all these mages behind him. And ironic as it may be, it might help you with our cause too.
My father never told me of how he grew up. Do you know anything about that?
About his childhood? I'm afraid not. He shared some fragments of his past with me, but probably no more than he shared with you.
Let's discuss something else. There's one thing I've been wondering about. After we parted at the hideout, what exactly happened? How did you and my father part ways?
Good question. I guess it all started with the relics, the tomes. You remember them, right?
Yes, he was hoping they'd help him to win the war.
Exactly. And there was this one moment when he found the 5th tome, when I came to a realization. You see, there were all those bodies, enemies, but also many of our people. We had shed so much blood, Tahar. But Asamo, he didn't care. If there was any grief in his eyes, I couldn't see it. And as dramatic as it may sound, that's when I finally understood that we had lost our cause. This wasn't about ideals, about us mages anymore. It was about him, whatever his intentions had become.
And that's the reason Zane, Helena, and I betrayed him. Come on, do you really want to tell us you didn't see that before? The tomes were all about power.
I knew it was about power, but Asamo always told us that he would use that power for the greater good. And it's not that far off. I mean, can't you imagine? With the power of the tomes, we could have united the world, even made it a better one. No more persecution of the deviant, no more wars, no more suffering.
You mean an aristocracy, with a couple of mages playing God?
There's always someone playing God. And honestly, don't you think the world would have been a better place if there were gods who actually cared? Who involved themselves in politics? I do.
I'll be off. Got it.